Next section, features and principles of perception. The features of perception are sensation, organization, interpretation and categorization of input according to past experiences. The process of sensory perception takes place very quickly in the human brain, usually within less than 1 second. Different types of perception are possible through the complex activity of the nervous system that receives input from each of the 5 senses. This input then converts to signals that travel to the brain via the spinal cord as well as the peripheral nervous system. Each of the characteristics of perception is both a physical process and a subjective experience according to different personalities, biases and backgrounds. Important features are having been explained below. First feature, perceptual consistency. Second, grouping or Gestalt laws. 3, contrast effects. 4, effects of experience. 5, effects of motivation and expectation. 6, figure and ground. 7, movement perception. 8, priming. Detail going on. First, perceptual consistency. It is a tendency for perceived object to give rise to a very similar perceptual experiences in spite of wide variations in the conditions of observation. Types of perceptual consistency. A, size consistency. B, shape consistency. C, light consistency. D, color consistency. E, brightness consistency. F, location consistency. Detail. A, size consistency. The tendency to see the object same size regardless of distance. Look at these pictures. B, shape consistency. The tendency to see the object shape as an unchanging regardless of viewing angle. Look at these pictures. C, light consistency. The tendency to see the objects same regardless of different light. Look Look at this picture. Different pictures going to see. D. Color consistency. Tendency to see the color of a familiar object as the same regardless of the actual light condition. Look at these pictures express color consistency. E. Brightness consistency. Tendency to see the brightness of a familiar object as the same regardless of the actual condition. Look at this. Different pictures express brightness consistency. F. Location consistency. An object appears to retain in same position even we move about. Look at this, some pictures express location consistencies. Second feature, grouping or Gestalt laws. The principles of grouping or Gestalt laws of grouping. The humans naturally perceive objects as organized patterns and objects. Look at this picture. Only we can see the lines. Look at this. We can perceive as circle. Here lines we can able to perceive as a square, which is called principles of grouping. Third feature, contrast effects. A contrast effect is the enhancement or diminishment related to normal of perception, cognition, and related performance as a result of immediately previous or simultaneous exposure to a stimulus of lesser or greater value in the same dimension. Difference between white and black area. Types of contrast. A. Simultaneous contrast. B. Successive contrast. C. meta-contrast and para-contrast. Detail going on. A. Simultaneous contrast. Identified by Michael. Refers to the manner in which the colors of two different objects affect each other. Look at this simultaneous contrast. B. Successive contrast. Occurs when the perception of currently viewed stimuli is modulated by previously viewed stimuli. Look at this successive contrast. C. Meta-contrast and para-contrast. Mutual inhibition. The left side is darkened by the right half, meta-contrast, and the center may be completely obliterated, para-contrast. When one half of a circle is lit for 10 milliseconds, if the other half is displayed at the same time 20 to 50 milliseconds later. Look at this picture. Meta-contrast, para-contrast. Definition of meta-contrast: a reduction in the perceived brightness of a visual stimulus when followed immediately by an adjacent visual stimulus. Meta-contrast: the process of meta-contrast ensures that an object is hidden by a mask. For example, a large circle is placed but only a small dot is seen due to ring covering the large circle. 4. Effect of experience. The perception determined by the past experience. 5. Effect of motivation and expectation. A perceiver's biological motive, social motives, and expectation from the environment influence the perception. 3D morphic objects. Sixth feature, figure and ground. Geometrical patterns are always seen as figures against a background and thus appear to be object with counters and boundaries. Look at this picture, figure and ground. When we see the white area become flower wash. When we see the black area, it's become two persons face to face. Look at this. When you see black color, the horse running towards right side. See the white, the horse running towards left side. Seventh feature, movement perception. Movement perception is the process of inferring the speed and direction of elements in a scan based on visual, vestibular and pre-occipital inputs. Types of movement perceptions. First type, apparent movement, divided into two. One, stereoscopic motion. Two, autokinetic effect. B, real motion. C, depth motion. Classified into two. One, binocular cause to depth. Two, monocular cause to depth. Detail going on. A1, stereoscopic motion. It is a motion pictures whose technology makes the objects shown on the screen appear to the viewer to be three-dimensional. Stereoscopic motion pictures are frequently called three-dimensional or 3D films. Look at this picture, stereoscopic motions. A2, autokinetic effects. It is a illusory movement of a single still object, usually a stationary pinpoint of light, used in psychology experiments in dark rooms. Look at this picture. Autokinetic effects. B, real motion. The action or process of moving or of changing place or position. Movement. A body is in motion, tends to stay in motion. Look at this real motion. C, depth motion. Depth perception is the visual ability to perceive the world in three dimensions, 3D and the distance of an object. Look at this depth motion. C1, binocular cause to depth. Binocular vision is a vision in which creators having two eyes use them together. The word binocular comes from two Latin roots, bini for double and oculos for eye. Look at this, binocular cause to depth. Look at this picture. C2, monocular cause to depth. Monocular cause allow a person to judge depth and the size of objects with one eye, common conditions that cause depth. Look at this picture. Monocular. Phi phenomenon. The Phi phenomenon is the optical illusion of perceiving a series of still images when viewed in rapid succession as continuous motion. Max Wertheimer, one of the three founders of Gestalt psychology, defined this phenomenon in 1912. Foundation of Hugo's theory of film. and are part of the process of motion perception. Next feature of perception is eighth one, priming. Can you define priming? Priming is an implicit memory, effects in which exposure to one stimulus influences a response to another stimulus. Illustration. People were faster in deciding that a string of letters is a word when the word followed an associatively or semantically related word. For example, nurse is recognized more quickly following doctor than following bread. Priming can occur following perceptual, semantic or conceptual stimulus repetition. Types of priming. First, positive and negative priming refers to when priming affects the speed of processing. 2. Perceptual and conceptual priming. Whether items with a similar form or items with a similar meaning are primed respectively. 3. Repetition, also called direct priming, is a form of positive priming. 4. Semantic target are from the same semantic category and share features. 5. Associative priming. The target is a word that has a highly probability of appearing with the prime and is associated. 6. Response priming. Identical or alternative motor responses. 7. Masked priming. Phonological activations during visual word recognition. 8. Kindness priming. Lower threshold of activation when subsequently encountering positive stimuli. Motion after effect. The motion after effect is a visual illusion experienced after viewing a moving visual stimulus for a time with sensory eyes and then fixating a sensory stimulus. The stationary stimulus appears to move in the opposite direction to the original stimulus. The motion after effect is believed to be the result of motion adaptation. Placebo effect. Placebo effect, also called the placebo response, a remarkable phenomenon in which placebo, a fake treatment, an inactive substance like sugar, distilled water or saline solution can sometimes improve a patient's condition simply because the person has the expectation that it will be helpful. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.